What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the Roger Report. We're kicking things off with a massive story that could shake up the UFC's plans for a historic White House event. Dana White's highly anticipated card, featuring Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, might be facing some serious, unforeseen hurdles. Next up, we're going deep into a grudge match years in the making. Artem Lobov and Zubaira Tukhugov are finally set to settle their beef in the PFL. And we've got the exclusive details on what they had to say about finally stepping into the cage together after all these years. But the buzz doesn't stop there. We're bringing you the fiery opinions of UFC legend Matt Brown, who is absolutely roasting the idea of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler as a headliner, calling it completely irrelevant for a potential UFC White House booking. Is he right? And finally, we've got Daniel Cormier weighing in on why Conor McGregor really won't stay retired. Is it his desire to compete, or something much deeper? Stick around for all the explosive details, and make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell on. Could the weather rain on Dana White's White House parade? Get ready, fight fans, because the UFC's dream of hosting a historic event at the White House might be facing a storm of its own. While excitement is building for a stacked card featuring potential bouts like Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, a familiar voice is raising serious concerns. Chael Sonnen, the American gangster, isn't just looking at the fighters, he's looking at the unpredictable elements that could derail Dana White's grand plans. Sonnen points to a critical, often overlooked factor: the weather. Washington, D.C. in July is notorious for its unpredictable thunderstorms, and a sudden downpour could drastically alter the fight conditions. The UFC's canvas, designed for optimal grip, can become treacherous when wet, absorbing moisture, and potentially affecting the footing of athletes like McGregor and Chandler. This isn't just about a little rain. It's about introducing a variable that fighters train to avoid, potentially impacting their mental and physical performance in ways that a controlled indoor environment never would. Beyond the physical challenges, Sonnen highlights the psychological impact. Fighters who have spent months in sterile, predictable training facilities could be thrown off by the uncertainty of Mother Nature, leading to hesitation or even pullouts. This could turn a highly anticipated mega-event into a disaster for Dana White. But Sonnen isn't just a doomsayer. He's also a strategist, even suggesting alternative blockbuster matchups like Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, or a wild-card bout with Tony Ferguson that could redefine the historic night, proving his vision extends far beyond the obvious. Fans are buzzing about the possibility of a White House event, but Sonnen's warning about environmental factors is sparking a new wave of debate. Many are now questioning if the UFC has adequately prepared for such contingencies, while others are intrigued by his alternative fight suggestions, demonstrating a split between excitement for the spectacle and concern for its execution. Don't go anywhere, because the unpredictable nature of fight planning is just the beginning. Next, we're diving into a grudge match that's been simmering for years, finally set to ignite. A decade-long feud finally heads to the cage. The echoes of UFC 229's chaos still resonate, and now, the infamous altercation that sparked it all is set to be settled in the PFL. Artem Lobov and Zubaira Tukhugov, whose beef dates back to an incident in Brooklyn years ago, are finally booked to fight, and the anticipation is palpable. This isn't just another fight, it's the culmination of years of bad blood and unfinished business. Remember the infamous moment when Khabib Nurmagomedov's team, including Tukhugov, cornered Lobov after online trash talk? That incident escalated, leading to McGregor's infamous bus attack. Though Lobov was a close friend and training partner of McGregor at the time, the confrontation set the stage for further drama. Now, years later, the PFL Champions Series in Dubai is the venue for this long-awaited showdown. During a recent media session with the Roger Report, both fighters shared their perspectives. Lobov, who hasn't fought in MMA since 2018, is eager to finally settle the score, emphasizing that words mean less than actions. For me, how can it be over if we didn't get a chance to actually fight? Lobov stated, highlighting that the story isn't complete until they step into the cage. Tukhugov, while acknowledging the history, seems to have a more pragmatic view, suggesting that much of the bad blood has subsided over the 6 years since the incident. "I kind of already let it pass," Tukhugov mentioned, framing the upcoming bout as more of a pure sport contest. Despite Tukhugov's more measured approach, Lobov remains resolute, seeing this fight as the only way to truly close that chapter. He's been back in training, calling the process interesting after a needed break from the intensity of bare-knuckle boxing. Fans are divided, with some siding with Lobov's desire for retribution and others agreeing with Tukhugov that it's time to move on, but everyone agrees this is a must-see event. From settling old scores to settling old debates, the fight world is on fire. Next, a legendary UFC voice doesn't hold back on one of the biggest names in the sport. Is Conor McGregor's comeback fight completely irrelevant? Conor McGregor's declaration of his return to the octagon against Chandler, potentially headlining a UFC White House card, has ignited debate, but not all legends are impressed. Former two-division UFC champion Matt Brown has delivered a scathing assessment, labeling the proposed matchup as completely irrelevant for such a prestigious event. McGregor, who hasn't competed since his devastating leg injury against Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 over 4 years ago, aims to headline the UFC's historic White House card next summer. This comes after their scheduled bout at UFC 303 was abruptly cancelled. Brown, however, questions whether this pairing still holds the drawing power many believe it does, especially for fans invested in the sport's long-term trajectory. He argues that while McGregor's star power might sell tickets, the fight itself lacks competitive relevance, especially when considering both fighters are on losing streaks. Does nothing other than I guess sell tickets maybe? Brown questioned in a recent interview, expressing that for hardcore fans, the fight holds little intrinsic interest. He draws a parallel to potentially booking Ronda Rousey, suggesting the UFC might be leaning too heavily on past star power rather than current competitive merit. Brown acknowledges McGregor's significant contribution to the UFC's growth, but maintains that, for him, a McGregor versus Chandler fight simply doesn't generate excitement. Both McGregor and Chandler are looking to snap losing streaks, with Chandler's last victory against Tony Ferguson and McGregor's against Donald Cerrone, underscoring Brown's point about their current standing in the division. The MMA community is divided, with some agreeing with Brown's critique of the fight's relevance and others defending McGregor's status as a guaranteed draw. The debate highlights the tension between casual fan appeal and the expectations of dedicated followers of the sport. But is McGregor's return a matter of choice, or is something else pulling him back? Coming up, Daniel Cormier reveals the surprising reason why the Notorious might never truly stay retired. The real reason Conor McGregor can't stay retired: nobody believes him anymore. Conor McGregor's potential return to the UFC has been a constant topic of speculation for years, but Daniel Cormier believes he's identified the primary driver behind the Notorious' continued presence in the sport: a loss of credibility. After a significant layoff since his 2021 leg break, McGregor's career has been a whirlwind of controversies, a failed presidential bid, and a highly publicized fight cancellation. While he's expressed a desire to fight, notably targeting the UFC's White House event against Chandler, Cormier suggests it's not solely about the love of competition. "I believe the biggest factor in why Conor McGregor will fight is because no one believes him anymore," Cormier stated on Good Guy/Bad Guy, implying that McGregor feels a need to prove himself and regain the spotlight. Cormier argues that the shine is wearing off, and McGregor understands that the public's unwavering belief in his invincibility has waned. The former double champion suggests that McGregor isn't returning out of a pure desire to compete, but rather out of a strategic necessity to re-establish his relevance. This comeback isn't about chasing a big win to satisfy his competitive spirit. It's about fighting because he recognizes that the narrative has shifted, and he needs to reclaim his position in the public consciousness. Despite providing multiple drug tests, his fight schedule remains stagnant, adding another layer to the uncertainty surrounding his future. This perspective has sparked considerable discussion among fans and analysts, with many debating whether McGregor's return is driven by ego, necessity, or a genuine passion for fighting. The question remains whether a comeback, driven by a need to restore belief, can reignite the magic that made him a global superstar. And that's a wrap on today's explosive news. But before you go, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered. All right, fight fans, that's all the action for today. We've got Chael Sonnen raising concerns about the UFC's White House event potentially being derailed by weather. Artem Lobov and Zubaira Tukhugov finally set to settle their decade-long grudge in the PFL. Matt Brown calling the McGregor versus Chandler fight completely irrelevant. And Daniel Cormier revealing why Conor McGregor can't seem to stay retired. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the Roger Report for all your breaking MMA news. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's stories and follow us on all social media platforms. We'll see you next time.